the next question, but do you want to answer the earlier question that I asked you? What would you tell somebody who's not as clear-sighted as you are about this aspect? How would you define it as happiness for that person? Because um, I know of enough number of people um, who on the spur of the moment to want to resolve that problem at hand. See, standing up for values, overarching theme is very nice and everybody believes in it, and it seems almost uh, textbook like. But when you are on real practical issues on the ground, you realize that here is a client who's saying, I have given you the contract, you just have to say yes to this condition and it's yours. At that moment, I have seen not only your generation, our generation, they would say, don't bother, let's do it. It's not really that important. Um, so for people who believe in that kind of attitude, uh, which cannot be just said wrong because they would call it practical. Their term would be practical. They would say, hello, we are in a commercial setup and none of us are saints or holier than thou. Why should we not opt for this? And how does it affect anybody else? We will do a good job anyways. We are not going to cheat the client. Just a little bit of adjustment is the term that is used. How would how would somebody like you explain the concept of happiness of values to a person who's in that realm?
As you rightly said, the other perspective to this point is the point of pragmatism, where you might say that it is practical in the short run for you to be probably stationed at this job and earning a bit more. And it comes to my mind that me saying that previous point, I must acknowledge my own point of privilege, because not all families are as economically privileged to allow their children to pursue what the children truly want. Some families may be economically disprivileged and they may be focused on the more short-term gains for their children to focus on. But it's definitely a much larger picture that needs to be looked at. Uh, you have obviously the inconsistencies of your economics and day-to-day life, but I think eventually every person should, after satisfying short-term gains, they should be given a chance at least to indulge in that sort of happiness. They could, I mean, in an ideal situation again, partake in a hobby of sorts that helps them in some sense achieve personal fulfillment. In addition to if the pressures are unbearable of taking on a job that your family wants you to. So it is a difficult question to answer.
Okay, so I have a even more difficult question that has come up, which I did not realize was coming from that answer. Uh, is your perspective limited to it because you are happy about following those values? Uh, and if I were to just turn the entire argument on its head and say, for example, while doing some research for the values workshop, I landed upon a textbook on lying by the Harvard School. It was quite interesting, and where they've dissected into black lies and white lies and like a lot of detail. Um, my question to you is, even if you personally did not like it, is it not uh, a duty in a good sense? Because if, like the Bible says, do unto others what you would want to do them to do to you types. Um, would you not, if you want the truth for yourself, that nobody should lie to you, is it not a moral responsibility to be saying the truth to everybody with the same level of discipline, even if it is not liked? Uh, I'm not getting into the economics because that skews it too much into one direction. And considering the state of the world today, where we are facing a lot of difficulties, that becomes an easy scapegoat. But if all things are equal and we do not look down the economic prism, how would you uh, relook at this. If you were not as happy and yet you had to do this, how would you look at values?
Did you mean this in the context of maintaining the same discipline as being honest and lying, or the job scenario?
Any of the values that you claim to have, honesty, discipline, determination, gratitude, anything at all. These value systems that make us us. Um, on a good day, it's easy to keep up with them. Uh, but on a bad day, where you are really in a foul mood and you don't care about swearing or lying or going out and just snatching what comes your way, how would you retain that sense of quote unquote goodness? Because it is goodness for all, not just goodness for one. This now directly connects to the first context that you set up, that all of us are individuals in a society, and that's how we ought to look at.
It is definitely difficult to maintain an impeccable record of adherence to your values, because we need to make allowance for the fact that we're also human. We're also imperfect in many respects. We may have our moments of weakness, but I think that's when your value matters most. Where if you're willing to learn from that situation, if you're willing to uh, strengthen your strengths and weaken your weaknesses, to quote a cliche, and to take away the good parts of that situation and to accept that you were wrong. I think that that doesn't mark in my book an inconsistency with your values, but it just marks an addition of your values if you manage to overcome a moment of weakness in your life being human, and if you manage to learn and incorporate new values.
Okay, that's very interesting, Sujata. Any experience uh, with these kind of things that have happened with you? I can
Uh,
also share.
I mean, the fact that I chose to quit corporate life and do something on my own, it pretty much says everything, isn't it? Uh, I mean, if I may say this, I don't think I was as wise as Anant is at the age that he is in. I mean, so it is amazing that he has this perspective, A, and 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 that's where I realized, as he's been sharing his thoughts, that one of the reasons I decided to move out of the corporate world was for ABC reasons. I mean, it came to a place where I said, okay, let me look at the good part of my experience of being there, and that's what kind of prompted me to start off something on my own, which allows me that ethical and creative freedom to do what I want and get a balance of both.
Okay. So
Yeah.
to clarify what Sujay said, because we have a similar story on that one. I also quit mainstream advertising, started my own thing, uh, did all sorts of things, was a film producer for a while, and so the experiences are a mix of what both of you said. My experience has been that there are times where you're so taken away by the creative aspect of, in my case, it was filmmaking, that you did not bother about breaking rules, and getting legal permissions to shoot in Bombay is quite a task. So you would not bother about taking permissions. You would go, you would make the actor stand there. In 15 minutes, your shot was done. You moved on to a new location. Um, Very often, not paying the municipal authorities, not because so much that you couldn't afford it, but just because you just could not figure out a way to um, finish all of it in time, or come up with a certain um, sense of fulfillment about the job. Because if half the mind was bothered about taking care of the permissions, then you couldn't be creative enough. This is just an example of how we face those episodes that you're mentioning. Uh, the question to you is, how much of it is textbook knowledge that you're spouting, and how much of it is personal experience where you've really gone through dark nights of despair where you think, okay, uh, it's very, say, you and a very, very good friend of yours have decided to embark on a journey together of professional or personal sort, whatever. Both of you want to become legal experts or something, and on the journey you realize there's a demarcation, clear demarcation on how you approach this, and it is the professional differences are now being superimposed on your personal equation as well, which is fairly good to start with. Have you had any experiences? Would you want any experience that you can share with us where you had a very tough time taking the call on that particular value that you stood up for, and how it went about? Even whether you failed or crossed it well is really unimportant. Just the challenge itself.
Sorry, I'll need some time to think.
Yeah, please. So in school, in college, at any point where there was an easy path and there was the value-led path. I did engineering, so I know a bit about the difficult studies path.
So, a, an instance I can definitely think of where uh, I stood up for the value of prioritizing my own happiness, as we spoke of earlier. And to answer your earlier question as well, uh, I don't think any of it is textbook knowledge because I haven't really indulged in literature that pertains to self-help or anything like that to for others to try and tell me what values I should imbibe. For me, it's been a deeply personal,
Okay.
experience-based journey. I think the instance I can think of is after having passed my 10th, I scored very well in all the science subjects, physics, chemistry, biology, and math for that matter. I didn't score that well in the humanities oriented subjects. So seeing my scores, it was the career counselor's opinion as well as those of my friends and close family that I should pursue something in regards to science. But I, for one, knew that regardless of my ability to score well at a subject uh, at the level of 10th standard, it's not going to be representative of me doing well in science much later on. And it's not even going to be representative of me being happy pursuing that much later on. So it was a tough call for me to take humanities to pursue arts for my bachelor's as well as for my master's, where there were conflicting opinions on my end as well as those of others with regards to what I should choose. So that's one instance where I stood up for myself and I said that I should be looking at what I'll be happy doing.
Okay. So what was the turning point? Where did they give in?
Uh, I I think there wasn't a clear turning point because I've been grateful to have parents who've been supportive of whatever I choose. My own mother and father weren't very uh, you know, pressing in terms of matters pertaining to my career or my academic choices. So I think that helped a lot in terms of having my parents behind me and backing me no matter what I chose, as long as I was happy, which is what they looked for ultimately.
I think just a little off topic, Sujata. We need to do a topic on happiness. This is a very interesting perspective he keeps bringing back, and it
Yes.
is something that has been at the back of my mind, but I have never been able to call it anything. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a very
You.
interesting. Happiness is a concept that is alien to our generation. We've
Yes.
always
It's.
been told about things have to be done because they have to be done and this has to be done. And happiness is seen as almost a bad word
Yes.
and fairly selfish. But it is the first time I'm hearing a very mature point of view from a generation that is not given its due. Most of the time, the flamboyance with which they present themselves, maybe the social media has just corrupted that image in our eyes. But this is fairly beautiful. At some point, sorry, this
eh,
is just a topic.
No, I completely agree, because I think even in the last few minutes also he mentioned something around those lines about choosing happiness. So somewhere it is working at the back of my mind as well, right? I mean, have I ever given a thought to what makes me happy? I don't have a clear answer for that, because yeah, I'm being honest, because most of the time it's like you're expected to do something and you go on an autopilot mode and you just go on. I don't think we really pause for a moment to say, okay, there are certain tasks you do in a day at work or at home. Have you ever asked yourself, does this make you happy? Because I think the option didn't even exist. You don't even ask yourself such questions, correct?
Yeah, to
Yeah.
me, for a very funny brief moment, this is actually the topic is continuing, so we will come back to I have a connection.
Yeah, we should.
I have a few friends who stayed in hostels and have been doing different kind of uh, things, studies or working, and their lives have been less than ideally clean rooms, and it's like clothes strewn over all over the place, and uh, in class for five people, and something that one is not used to at regular family outings in my place, so to speak. And this morning I was thinking, it's so it's so amazing that these are two extremes, and I may not belong to both of them for that matter. While I may not agree with absolute cleanliness and one set of rules always and prim proper way of living, but neither do I think being uncouth and being unclean and everything everywhere is the way I would want to. And it's just a thought that came and went, and I said, who has time for these kind of thoughts? Let's get to work.
Yeah.
Uh, I was smiling at the word autopilot. So since this is going on a, why not choose happiness as a value and continue this conversation? Um, how do you define happiness which is not constricted by the short term? Somebody like you, because you've been talking about some, how would you, we've been having examples like ice cream, so please don't talk ice cream. You're allowed everything. But yeah, say you are on a very bad example. I don't agree with the diet funda, but say if you are on a diet and yeah, there's a cheat day, I find people keep on adjusting, and that is something not I'm not. I don't see it as happiness. I see it as inability to stand up to what you said. But the way you are making happiness be perceived in the last couple of minutes, I think is very intrinsic to what you are. So how do you perceive happiness, which is not in the short term, or which is in the short term, and yet uh, is tied up to your long-term goals of happiness?
Mhm. For me, it's been an experience. It's been defined by several experiences for me to realize how to define happiness in the long term. And I think for one, that only comes with experiencing happiness in the long term. So it is once that you have tried to uh, postpone these short term satisfactions that may detract you from your long term goal, that you will actually reach the uh, the apogee of satisfaction as you want. And for me, it comes down to a lot of willpower and motivation to keep telling myself that the satisfaction that comes with attaining your long term objective, nothing can compare to it. No short term satisfaction can compare to it. So I think defining happiness in terms of the reward of achieving something, if you take the example of, I don't know, probably, I know, I guess the diet example in itself, nothing would compare to the sense of healthiness and bodily satisfaction that you may have upon completing your diet. So it is a lot motivated. It is as much the destination as much as it is the journey, because the journey needs to be defined by a sense of motivation as well. So uh, there should be happiness in the journey that you're undertaking. There should be happiness in the process and not only the reward that you're looking at.
Are you